Hello and welcome to a very, very special extra of Across the Park podcast. It's something that we as the Blues did not want to have to do, but we had a chat this week, and we thought, based on the amazing work other fan groups are doing and the fans, especially online, you see the momentum building, you see the nerves building, the borderline excitement building, that we had to get together and we had to just have an excuse to get away from the kids, to get upstairs, put our laptops on, get a nice cold drink, which I think I'll down in record time. Myself, Ian Mills.
Me and Pricey are sitting here, time for a drink, and you
Sorry,
took 5 minutes to get a pint.
You can go get one, don't worry, we'll wait. Myself, Ian Mills, Andrew Price and Gary Judge. If you're new to the show, we're usually red and blue. This is 100% blue, but I imagine we might have some reds watching it just because they seem to be enjoying what's been happening a lot more than what we have. The reason we're doing the show is because anyone who's watched this show and listened to this show knows how us three feel. We're staring into a situation which it could be absolutely disastrous. We've got a chance tonight, Thursday evening, to get ourselves out of that. I think we had a chance last Wednesday at Watford. We had a chance Sunday at Brentford. We absolutely cannot go into Sunday, in my opinion, with a team who are unlikely to get Champions League football, but publicly aren't going to give up on it on Sunday and need something in Arsenal. We have to get the job done Thursday night. So we're going to talk about that. Judgy, to bring you in first, if you don't mind. What are your thoughts going into tonight's game? For me, it's absolutely, for all the wrong reasons, one of the biggest games I will ever watch at Goodison Park. Would you agree? Is that too strong? Is it just about right?
I think it's just about right at this moment in time. I mean, we joked about it on the show earlier in the week, where we had a question from one of our mates, Curly, saying, is it going to be one of the great nights at Goodison if you pull off a win? And I was quick to kind of to agree to a certain extent and say, look, yeah, it will be, but for different reasons, the different nights. So what the lads across the park and girls across the park have experienced over the last few years, the last couple of decades. Fortunately for us, we haven't been in this struggle going to this, this later stage in the season for a long time. It's been since 1998, sorry. 98 that we had that last game of the season against Coventry. Obviously, you look further back, 93 at Wimbledon. I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than those two. Obviously, those are the very last games of the season. That does give it that real cliffhanger. But because we've got that game at Arsenal away, last game of the season, where realistically speaking, if they turn up, which they tend to do at home, you struggle to see us getting any points from that game. The reason I say it's bigger than the other two previous relegation scraps we've been in, those dramatic ones, is the club's got a lot more in the balance now. Those two games we had against Coventry and Wimbledon, the club were half on its knees anyway. We were struggling financially. We had no backing. We had, very little going for us in general. We're now in a position where, obviously the owners took a lot of stick, but the owners got money. We have got back, and we've got a stadium that's under construction. We have got some valuable assets in the playing squad that, should we go down, we'll lose, and we'll lose for pennies on the pounds. The stadium, whether people like it or not, will be thrown into jeopardy. The club's history is hanging in the balance if this doesn't go our way tonight. I'm not just saying that for the drama of the podcast.
Oh.
We genuinely believe that, and I know you're thinking about it more than I am. I'm not trying not to think about it.
I've had sleepless nights. I mean, our WhatsApp group, I put a tweet out on Monday mornings saying night one of 3 or 4 sleepless nights to come. I'm dragging it around with me, and I don't want to. Like, we've all got families, we've all got careers and real jobs and real lives. But Everton for me, I don't think I've realised how important this football club is to me until this present moment. We've been blasé. Sometimes we get beat and we go to 10th or we go to 9th. It doesn't affect us, and we write it off. I think, for me, and I don't know whether you might agree, Pricey, I think this moment in time, it's emotional. I'm really, really feeling it.
I've never thought about Everton as much as I have, even in the last couple of weeks. I mean, sleepless nights, I haven't got as far as that, but I've certainly woke up in the morning and the first thing that's on my mind is Everton. To just look at my phone, have a look, see what the news is, see if there's anyone injured, see what's going on. I think we're at that stage now, because you talk about the last two, great escapes, if you want to call them. We were only, three of us were only kids, really. The 98 one, we were 12, when I was 12. So you sort of understood how big it was, but not quite. You didn't quite grasp what would happen and what it would mean if he didn't stay in the Premier League. And I think, Judge, you mentioned it there, Everton in probably a stronger position than we are now, but the Premier League's in a stronger place, and there's more money in it now, so it means more to stay up. I think you're worse off if you go down now than if you would have been then. So I think going along with the fact that we were only kids then, not yet teenagers, and now that we're fully grown men and we understand it more and we see the bigger picture and what would happen. We've got kids that you don't want to bring your kids up, not having a top table team, if you like. You want to be able to take them into the new stadium. We've all looking forward to taking our kids in the new stadium and welcoming European nights and Premier League nights and all that. And that's just could all just go if we go down. And it could get worse now. We could be a Leeds, or we could be a Sheffield Wednesday or a Coventry, whoever you look at, that have dropped down a couple of divisions after they've gone down into the Championship. And that's what I'm worried about, and that's what's on my mind is the implications of that. And then you look at what do we need from tonight's game. I think we need a win. I think Lampard spoke yesterday in his press conference and said we need 2 points from the last two games. That's what we need. He was playing it down probably as much as he needs to play it down. He was saying 2 points, but I don't think it is. We need 2 points. I think we need to beat Crystal Palace tonight, and if we don't, I'd love to be. We're hoping on that position where it will be proved wrong. But if we don't win tonight, and I'd love to be proved wrong and say that we'll win at the Emirates on Sunday. But with Arsenal having that chance of getting in the Champions League, and with our record that we've got at Arsenal anyway, I can't see us getting anything. So for me, tonight is the cup final. Tonight is your Coventry. Tonight is your Wimbledon. Tonight is you've got to win to stay up. And just saying that out loud, I'm feeling it. Just saying
if you talk on there, it sounds mad. I'm not just saying it because we're all mates. Your hair stands up because you realise how much is on the line. But when you talk about it and you read in black and white, and make no mistake, if there's any fans who are from different clubs who are watching this, maybe Burnley, Leeds fans, maybe some Crystal Palace fans, with all due respect to Leeds or Burnley, I think if they went down, the structure of that club could afford to go down. And for me, Judgy, that is the biggest worry. Echoing what Pricey said, if Everton go down, I don't think it's a situation where, okay, so some people have said you'll clear the dead wood and you'll come back up. I think it could be absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke briefly about some of the assets we've got. It'd be a fire sale because we couldn't afford to maintain those wages. We just couldn't. I know you talk about parachute payments and what have you, but the commercial revenue, everything that the clubs maybe gathered momentum around over the last few years with the signings of Yerry Mina and stuff that people don't really think nothing of. We've gathered a big support in South America. I'm sure they've really ramped it up in the States and in Asia and stuff like that. The brief signing of James Rodriguez did that as well. It put us on the map. As soon as we leave the Premier League, all that disappears. Not only that, even the players who maybe we would want to keep would not want to stay, and they'd make it difficult, and they'd want to leave because they've got aspirations themselves. So I don't think it would be a quick return to the Premier League. If it was a quick return to the Premier League, there'd be a lot of work, incredible amount of work. There's have to go on in the background to make that happen. And there's a lot of permutations, and it's a very difficult league, the Championship. Better teams have struggled and still continue to struggle in there. I don't think, and I'm with you on that, I don't think it would be a case of us bouncing right back as much as I'd like to think so. But again, looking at the other two teams in there, I do agree with that notion as well. Burnley haven't got a massive wage bill. They're almost the club set up to, oh well, if we go down, we'll get back up. They've got tough physical players in there. They've got the makeup of a Championship squad without being disrespectful. Leeds have got a very young squad, not a squad that's got a massive wage bill. No. The support has been, I wouldn't say used to being a yo-yo club because that's disrespectful. They've been up here for a couple of years now, and up until maybe 6 months ago, they were a fairly stable club. The wheels just fell off with Bielsa. But again, I don't think they would be it wouldn't be the end of the world for them to go down.
We won't have a contingency plan, will we? I bet every season they have a contingency plan. If we go down, at least we know X, Y, and Z. We know we're covered here. We know we're covered there. We won't have that.
That's the other thing as well. All of those, sorry, Pricey, that's a good point that I didn't mention it. All of them, both them clubs will have relegation release clauses in the players' contracts. And some of them release clauses would have been put in place by the players, thinking, hold on, I'm signing for Burnley here, like Weghorst and Cornet. There was the joke of the conversation that Jackson, the manager, had with Cornet the week, where Cornet went up to Jackson and says, excuse me, Mr. Manager, I'd like to go back to my parent club. And he's like, no, mate, you've signed us on a permanent deal. And he's like, yes. But you'd imagine that any of their high-profile players will have those clauses in the contract, likewise with Leeds as well. But there's no doubt whatsoever that none of our players will have them in the contract, because one, the players' agents wouldn't, and the players wouldn't have been thinking that was a possibility. And the club, as we all know, have been that arrogant in the past with contracts that they wouldn't even thought that was something the club would have to think about. But yeah.
So what about on the flip side then? If we win tonight and we do make it and we are staying up, how's that going to feel? That it sounds horrible, and Lampard said yesterday it'll feel like we've achieved something, and I think we will have that feeling, rightly or wrongly, tomorrow. Tomorrow, if we've won, we'll wake up and we'll felt like we've achieved something. I know that sounds.
I'll have slept for the first time in weeks.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're getting at, though. It's definitely a false sense of security, isn't it? That maybe, I mean, I'm looking forward to that statement if we win. Not because I don't think it'll be a celebratory statement from Lampard. He's a winner. He said it a few times in recent press conferences. He talked about today in his big kind of speech, his Churchill-esque speech, where he said, "Look, I'm a winner. If there's anything in the background or anything that's stopping this club from winning, I'm going to stand up for the club and this, that, and the other." I think it'll be very much that ilk after the game and tomorrow, saying, "Look, we all right. We've achieved the first objective, which was staying in the Premier League, but now it's about getting this club back to where it should be." And I'm hoping, I'm praying that's the attitude in the background as well.
But Pricey switched the momentum there into positive, and I think it's right that we do have some positivity on this show, because the fans have been absolutely fantastic the past month or so, unbelievable, and you're seeing online the plans for tonight for the home team's arrival. I think Merseyside Police put a tweet out saying they met Everton fan groups, and they've switched it so the fans are going to see the players are going to see the fans. You see the fan groups and the banners and the plans. And we're in a situation now where 2 or 3 weeks ago we were 5 points adrift, albeit with a game in hand. But the game in hand was Chelsea at home, and I was lower than a snake's belly. It's switched now. It's back in our own hands, and that's a situation, Pricey, 2 weeks ago. As a bit your hands off for it.
100%. When Burnley beat Watford, I honestly thought we were done. I thought that was it. We are down. So yeah, I'd, as you say, bite your hand off to be able to beat Palace at home to stay up. And I think if we do stay, what I was saying about it, I feel like we've achieved something. I think we've been through that much crap this season. Nearly every week our podcast has been negative on the players, and felt like we've been expecting this position. So if we can win and we achieve something and we stay up, then I do think there'll be room for some sort of relief, whether it's celebration or relief. There'll be something there that does that. But yeah, Palace at home. I can't, going back on what I've just been saying, I can't take anything for granted, though, of the season we've had and the way we've been, and because of all the negativity. I think we were relying, once we had Brentford and Palace at home, we were relying on our home form. We were saying, right, we're at home, our home form will see us through. We've had a relatively good home form the last few weeks. That'll see us through. And I think just Sunday's defeat just put me back on the back foot, and just thought, it's not going to be a case of just turning up at Goodison and we're going to win. You talk about Palace have got nothing to play for, but I think that might be worse. I think the type of players they've got, I think it might be worse. They've got nothing to play for. They might just go and enjoy themselves, enjoy the atmosphere themselves. You know what I mean?
There was a notion there that the Brentford players put a lot of stuff on their socials after the game relating to the fireworks and stuff, and there's a notion that Crystal Palace aren't travelling to Liverpool until this morning. So and I've seen some fan groups say don't do it anyway because it didn't have the desired effect at the outcome on Sunday. But Judge, what I want to go back to you with there is you've already mentioned the manager. You've mentioned his Churchill-esque speeches. He's done a really good. Some of his program notes were released on the website last night, and I put them in our WhatsApp group, whether you've read them or not.
Yeah.
How big a positive has he been in this fight? Because for me personally, I think he's been almost, apart from the fans, he's been almost everything.
He's been incredible, yeah, and you've got to credit him with the turnaround and attitude from the fans, because you can see and you can feel the pain when we get beat. You can see how angry he is. You can see how upset he is.
Yeah.
Initially, when we were on a bit of a poor run when he first took over, and there was defeat after defeat, he was getting criticism from the media because he was throwing the players under the bus.
Yeah.
The fans turned around and went, "This is great. This is great," because like it's obvious. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's been so obvious for us for a while. But then you've got managers who are patronising the fans and going, "We're working on this on the training ground. We're doing this and we're doing that," and they'll turn around and blah blah. He was going, "No, that's not good enough, and this player's not good enough, or that player's not good enough, or this mistake and that mistake." And it was like, hold on, he's calling it for what it is, but also, it
was like refreshing to read these things and hear these things, wasn't it? Because only yesterday, the dinosaur reared his ugly head and he was talking about people dropping stuff on the toes and how unlucky he was, and that reminded me, God, that's how it was, and it does feel a bit night and day to me now.
It does, yeah, but then he was quick to acknowledge the supporters when he first took over. And he was constantly reiterating, like, that look, it's about battling, it's about attitude. And then it almost made the supporters turn around and look at each other and go, he's not talking about quality, he's not talking about this and that, he's talking consistently about attitude, enthusiasm, work rate, matching the fans' work rate. I think everyone started to look at themselves and go, are we actually helping here? Or are we, you know what I mean? And it did, everyone, that going back to the protest that we experienced towards the end of Benitez's reign, and I spoke fairly openly about the fact that I didn't think they were conducive, that I didn't think they were going to help, and some of them fan groups did flip it, and they were only doing it out of love for the club and credit to them for trying to do something, because they were doing more than me. But they've all looked at themselves and thought, you know what, we just need to get behind these players because that's what they need. They're clearly a fragile group. The manager's trying to do everything he can to instill that belief and enthusiasm. And he's talking a lot about attitude. We've got to have a more positive attitude. We've got to leave no excuses whatsoever for these players. And you know what? It's the impact it has on me, feeling happy going to the match and going, wow, this is amazing. You're going into an environment where everyone's positive and everyone's getting behind the players. And it gives you momentum. It gives you this amazing feel-good feeling as a fan that I haven't experienced in a long time. You wouldn't believe those last few games that we were in the position we were in. No. You'd think that we were fighting for the Champions League place, or we were going for the league, and that must give the players a massive belief. And Lampard talked about it, how good the players feel about it, and that made the fans get behind the team even more. And again, going back to the original question and point, that's a massive credit to the manager, because we haven't seen that in a long time, since probably the days of, I'm going even as far as probably Joe Royle, because Moyes got the fans behind us, but it was different. It was almost like an underdog type mentality, and there wasn't that, I don't know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. I think we'll move towards, I don't want to go too deep into match tactics and stuff, because I feel a bit more emotional than talking about whether Ben Godfrey should start or not. There's a lot more on the line. We're in the podcast with just probably how we all feel going into tonight. I'll start. I feel like a terrible husband and a terrible father, because I'm thinking about Everton more than I should be, and I want that to end. And that's not. I don't want to stop thinking about Everton completely. It's a massive part of my life, a massive part of my son's life. It'll be a massive part of my daughter's life, but it's just been horrible this season. I just want to put a full stop and get out of here alive. And tonight is the chance to do that. It's everything. It's absolutely everything that Everton win tonight for me. I can't imagine a scenario of going into Sunday, forget needing results going our way. I can't sit there watching 3 games hoping Burnley and Leeds don't win any longer. The chance is in our hands tonight to get out of this mess. And it's been a mess, make no doubt about it. It's been a mess this season from top to bottom, from whether you agree with the transfers, whether we spent too little, whether we let our best players go, whether the manager was right, whether this manager's right or wrong, whether the fucking Portuguese fella on Sky Sports News. Everything has been a mess. Let's get out of here tonight alive. It is in our own hands. Let's put a full stop in this season. And please, let's go forward and never, ever do this again. Pricey, how are you feeling? Can you give us your final thoughts going into tonight?
I just feel I've got that pit in my stomach, which I'm sure we've all got, that knot, that churning that I've got in my stomach that I just want to go. I think we've mentioned it there about the fans and stuff. I think as fans, as supporters, we've got to leave nothing behind, whatever that is, whether we go 1-0 down after 5 minutes, whether there's a few sloppy passes. We can't come out that ground thinking that we didn't do our bit, that we didn't give enough, and that we didn't do what we needed to do for those players. We've got to get behind the team. The whole of the fans and the whole of the ground have got to get behind the team, no matter what happens. We've got to keep going. When we played Brentford, the singing was unbelievable. It was constant for the first 20 minutes until Brantwaite got sent off, and then it died a bit, and it sort of come back up again. We've just got to keep that going. We've got to make it as bad as and hard as possible for Crystal Palace. You hear players, ex-players all the time, Goodison used to be one of those grounds, and the fans used to be on the pitch, on the right over you when they're playing and all that. It used to be intimidating. That's how we've got to make it. I'm sure we will. I'm sure the floodlights help. The fact that tonight game up. Yeah. If this was a Sunday afternoon game, I don't think it'd be as atmospheric as it probably will be tonight. But for me, overall, I just want that. I just want that horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach to go. And there's only one way it'll go, and that's by a win tonight. And that's the way I feel.
Yeah, and Judgy, do you want to close us out with how you're feeling as an Evertonian? Forget the tactics, forget everything. As an Evertonian going into tonight, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I can't add much more than you have added. I go further to say that those fans, like Pricey just said, in the first 5 rows of every corner of the ground, has got to make sure when that ball goes out of play that it gets chucked right back in the Palace players' faces, and they know how much it means to us. Do you know what I mean? I'm not condoning bottles or anything else getting thrown on the pitch. Just look them in the eye, chuck it right back at them, and make sure they feel it. Make sure that every ounce of energy is drained from them with every movement they make on that pitch. And you know what? I'm looking forward to my daughter going into school on Friday morning and everyone just talking about Everton winning and everyone forgetting about taking the mick and all that, because how hard's it been for the kids in school? I mean, I used to hate them days when you go into school on a Monday or say a Wednesday after a Tuesday night game, and we has it Iden or whatever, and the Reds are flying. It's been a bad enough. You know, we're not here to talk about them, but that has compounded the misery, hasn't it? Yeah. But at least for the kids to go into school on Friday morning and know that we're going to be in the Premier League next year and all that nonsense can stop. That's what I'm looking forward to, and like you say, moving forwards.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with either of you anymore. It's not easy for an adult to be a blue in this city at the minute, never mind the kids. But let's look at tonight as a chance to put a lot of things behind us and move forward. If any Evertonian is watching this in the morning with the first pint of the day, God bless you. If you're watching it on your lunchtime and work before you finish because you're nervous, God bless you. All the same as all of us are going down to the ground tonight. Myself, Pricey and Judgy going to leave nothing, absolutely nothing on the table. We really hope the players do as well. I'm pretty sure if us as fans, the players and the staff give 110% tonight, I'm confident we'll get out of it. I really, really pray we'll do. If we do, we're back again next week to review it. If we don't, God knows what happens to this podcast. Like Judgy said last week, who knows? But it's massive. It's massive. It's probably the biggest game as an adult Evertonian, speaking for Judgy and Pricey, that we've all been to. I'm sure it is for a lot of people of our generation. Everton Football Club, please, just fucking win tonight. Up the fucking Toffees.
Come on.